So I want to take some time to talk about the valve covers for the LT1 here, 383 for the Impala SS over here. It's got trick flow heads, different rockers, that sort of thing. So it is normal center bolt, but with the different rockers it posed some problems as far as clearance goes. You can't just bolt the stockers on there. So I'm going to show you what I ended up doing here. It's sort of my process, and yeah, go from there. So Impala project on hoagiesgarage.com. This is the valve cover info here. Kind of interesting. As I'm behind the camera here, first off, what you see here, Canton Fabricated valve covers. Bought these for the motor. They even have, if you see there, the notch for the alternator. Very similar to the stock ones, which these are stock. Right here's the notch on that. These are taller, which allow for the, taller rockers, that whole deal. Kind of a lot went into these, to be honest, if you look at them. Pretty slick setup. I personally sort of like them because they have that look of like not a show car, and the Impala here, it's not going to be a show car. I'm going to drive it. It's, not like I'm going to abuse it or anything, but I'm just not a car show person where I'm going to be waxing my valve covers. So, these ones, they do have that look of just, business, we'll say. Even have a nice solid oil filler here. But the one thing I did read about with these, and I didn't confirm it, didn't put them on in the engine, but I almost didn't want to because just didn't want to deal with it. This is the front passenger side for the alternator here. Allegedly on the Impala, this back hits the heater hoses, which they go into the interior right behind there. So either way, these are the Canton Fab valve covers. Let me see, they're number 65-206, the F-body style. And I'm going to end up selling them here, so they'll be on eBay. But I guess if you're interested, they're brand new. Let me know. The only reason I'm not returning them, I bought them over a year ago. Summit's going to hit me with a restocking fee, which is probably going to, be a pretty good hit. So, all right, next step here. So I basically learned that the Cantons are going to be pretty decent. Okay, maybe they'll work, maybe they won't. The other thing too is when I talked to them, they had me get a cork style gasket. You got to RTV it on. There's claims of leaks. There's even like a weld on the bottom around all four corners where they said really put the RTV there. So that kind of worried me too. Not like a nervous worry, but just sort of like, I don't know if I want to deal with it. Basically, everybody says the stockers fit the best. So you have some options. You have the Impala stockers, which I have sitting right here. Just took them right off the engine. And what's crazy to me, I put a picture of this on Instagram, I think on Facebook too, but I mean, they're legit, like, it's actually bad lighting. Let's do this. So clean inside. 180,000 miles. Like nothing. Not an ounce of sludge, which is crazy to me. So I'm going to use these, but the other problem I ran into is gaskets. I just said I had the cork gaskets for the Cantons. Took those cork gaskets back, got another one, GM Performance Parts gasket. Found out those were for the other option, which are the Corvette. They're composite, or they almost seem plasticky valve covers. Real thin rubber gasket. It might have worked, but I didn't really want to chance it, so I took those back. Ended up getting these guys here, which are identical to the ones on the car. Real thick, wide. They're going to fit right inside that flange on the factory valve cover. Right there you can see the part number. And so the next move then was getting the stockers to clear that head assembly there with the rockers and all that. I'm going to show you here how I was told to do this by Golan, who built the engine. I know this is pretty common knowledge, but I wanted to just share it. If you have an LT1 with this setup, you could end up doing this. I'll flip these over here. Okay, so the problem lies in these, we'll call these little support structures right here. They just hit. That's pretty much it. My wires are in the way there. They hit the rockers. So basically Golan sent me a picture of what to cut out, and I already prepped this head right here. I haven't cleaned it yet to go on, but if you see here, and that lighting's bad, let's go this way. This whole piece right here, these are cut out, and I just used a pair of plain old like aviation snips, and I kind of did a test fit. Fits fine, goes right on there. So pretty simple, took me about 5 minutes to do that, and yeah, this one's ready to go. And I got the gaskets here, which I don't think I'm going to need any RTV or anything like that. So yeah, short of just cleaning these up and making the snips on the driver's side, I think they're ready to go. I did want to show you a couple things that I did here to the engine though beforehand, before I put the valve cover, before they're going to go on there. So all you read about and all I see is this critical first startup. You don't want anything dry. You want to have the oil pump primed, the engine primed. So down here I've got the primer sitting there ready to go. The other thing I did was I added a lot of this stuff, the Ultra Slick engine assembly lube, as I was building the different pieces parts, the rockers and poly locks and that sort of stuff. Comp cams did call for soaking them in denatured alcohol, then you let them dry, then you soak them in motor oil, then you install them. And I'm using a Joe Gibbs Racing break-in oil. So we got that. You put them in there with the slick stuff on all the pieces that touch. That stuff's really almost like a thick syrup. The other thing I got here, which I saw this when I was getting the gaskets, and I was like, why not? Valve train assembly spray. This stuff comes out, I'm going to show you how this sprays on here. It's almost like that red slick stuff, but it's like in a spray form. It's kind of crazy when it comes out. But what you do is you spray your springs, your push rods, anything you need to in there that is, we'll say, a moving part, and it clings and it does all that stuff. Now, I put all those rockers and stuff on like last fall, so I mean, I'm sure they're okay, but this is like kind of overkill, which I like in this situation. So let me show you how this stuff looks when it comes out. Definitely a good option, I think. So here we go. All right, so this is the driver's side. I haven't sprayed this yet, but like I said, it's this Comp Cams valve train spray. Very simply, anything that's moving, gonna move, kind of go around and hit it pretty decent. And as you see, it almost looks like you had a murder scene in your cylinder head. So yeah, that's that stuff. I got the gaskets, like I said, and then the last thing they said to do was take some motor oil, which, like I said, is that break-in oil, and sort of dump it over everything before you put the valve cover on the head. So I'm gonna do that, and that should pretty much button up the heads. I've got the rockers all adjusted, did that whole deal, so I'm pretty excited to get that end sealed up and just sort of be like, okay, fingers crossed, everything's good. I shouldn't have to take the valve covers off again. One last thing I'm going to show you here that I got for the valve covers, and then I'll quit rambling about valve covers. I think I've mentioned this before, but as you can see off the Opti spark plug wires traditionally run around here into this little holder here, and then they snake around and go up and in. I only did a couple of them because it kind of hit me, and I started reading online. A lot of people have issues with their headers burning up the wires, that sort of stuff. I mean, right now, if you look on this part, I don't think there'd be many issues, but over here on these last couple, you got all these tubes they got to snake in. So what a lot of guys do is they'll run them over the top, which kind of cleans it up a little bit, makes it busier, I guess, if you want, but it makes it so they're easier to get to once it's in the car. So I found this setup online, and basically what these do is they bolt to the valve covers on top, and then they hold your wires, and then they drop down. And they even give you the bolts that are a little bit longer than stock to allow for this plasticky nylon stuff, you know, that thickness there. So those will be installed over the top of the valve covers. New valve cover bolts. They are an Allen head, but that is Smoothie. I don't know if you can see that part number right there, 50-35611. Got them in black, nothing fancy, and they're going to be red wires. They say they won't melt, anything like that. The last thing I think I'm going to get possibly are some those boot protectors that are high heat, those little sock looking things for down by the headers down there on the plug wires. So that's pretty much it. You know, assuming everything bolts up, seals up, I don't over torque, you don't under torque with the valve cover bolts, should be good to go. Like my main thing on this though, and you know, you could say I'm being overkill, which fine, whatever. Lots of oil, lots of pre-spray, the valve train spray, the sticky stuff, and I think the top end will be good for the startup, the initial startup, which is just everybody freaks out about. You don't want to ruin your engine that first time. So that's it. Thanks for watching. More to come on the Impala project here. I promise the engine will be started soon. It's just crazy busy, but summer's here and I can finally start wrenching a little bit more. So hoagiesgarage.com. Thanks for watching.